So last week I went through BuzzFeed's 21 questions that Asian people are sick of answering. And for the most part, it was a decent list of questions that I actually am kind of sick of answering. So I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're thinking, well, fuck, how am I supposed to have a conversation with an Asian person without seeming racist or generally unimaginative? So I have compiled my very own list of 21 questions that Asian people would love to answer because I'm not sure if you knew this or not, Asian people love answering questions. That Confucius guy, all he did was answer questions and put it into books so people could read it later on and stuff. So here are 21 questions that I've compiled over many years of personal study of being Asian. So I'll give you the question, how I might answer it, and or why it would be a good question to ask an Asian person. So let us start from the top and go down to one. So number 21, how was your weekend? Asian people have weekends. Sometimes we do fun stuff. Sometimes we do boring stuff, but it's always a good conversation starter. How was your weekend? This works on your non-Asian friends as well. So question number 20, how do you like your steak? Are you a medium rare person? Do you like them, well done, like shoe leather texture? Do you like them bloody? This is good information to know so that if you ever go out with your Asian friend to like a steakhouse, you're prepared and you won't get caught off guard when they order the steak bloody and you're like, ugh. Or if they order it like shoe leather, you're like, ugh. This will prevent you from making that ugh face. Question 19. Do you know a good place to eat ribs? Man, a lot of these questions are about food. Asian people like ribs. Well, that's not true, but I like ribs, so I put the question there. And in this area, there are a couple of good places to go. There's a Korean joint called Tofu Lighthouse, and they actually do a really good rib dish. They're marinated and then they're fried up, and then they come with these really good onions that are on the side. There's also Rockland's Barbecue. They have a really good location and they're really good. And then there's one down the street from us. I forget the name of it. I haven't had the ribs there, but they do a good chili pie. So I like that place. 18. What do you like on your pizza? This is especially important if you work in an office environment because every once in a while you're going to want to order out for pizza. And if you already know the preferences of the people around you, it'll make ordering much quicker for holiday parties, especially now. This is the holiday season and some of you want to be lazy and just order a big pizza for your holiday party. So if you know the preferences of those around your coworkers, it'll make the process a lot more easy. Number 17. Man, these are all about food. I must have been hungry when I made this list. Number 17. Do you have any dietary restrictions? Are you vegan? Are you vegetarian? Do you have a peanut allergy? These are important things to know about your friends because you want to hang out with them, and part of hanging out is going out to a meal. And you don't, if your friend has a peanut allergy, you don't want to take them to like the Jiffy factory and eat peanut butter sandwiches because they might die. So you don't want your friend to die. So if they have a peanut allergy, it's good to know. If they're vegan, you don't want to be the asshole to shame them and stuff, like take them to a fast food joint where they won't have anything to eat. So it's good to know the dietary restrictions of your friends so you can plan ahead for hanging out because eating is very important to hanging out. All right, number 16. Why do all ringtones suck? My guess is that your ringtone has to be annoying enough that you stop and think about your phone, because if your ringtone is something cool, you might ignore it because this is a cool thing, or like birds chirping or something like that. But if your ringtone is obnoxious and annoying, it'll guarantee that you'll pay attention to your phone when it goes off, so you can either answer it or turn off the ringer. Number 15. Would you ever cosplay? I think I would if I could find a character that I fit or that I really liked. I recently saw this what I thought was just going to be a dumb chopsaki kung fu flick, and it turned out to be this really good movie with a great storyline called The Guillotines. And there's this character me and my friends referred him to Kung Fu Jesus because he walked around like wearing robes and prophesizing all the time, and he was like Kung Fu Jesus. And he had long bushy hair and a goatee like me, so I could let my hair out and just wear some sloppy clothes, and I could be Kung Fu Jesus for a convention. I think if I had some prop making skills, I would definitely cosplay as a Kamen Rider, Ichigo or Double. One of the Kamen Riders, or Kuga. I love Kuga, one of his various forms. But I would probably cosplay as a Rider or a Super Sentai character or Kung Fu Jesus. Let's see. Number 14. Are you a cat person or a dog person? I guess we have a cat, so I guess I'm a cat person. I didn't grow up with pets, so I didn't find out what kind of person I was until my wife said, hey, let's get a cat. So I'm a cat person. Number 13. Would you ever get a tattoo? And if so, what would it be? Yes, I would get a tattoo. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you've seen my arm tattoo. It's a dragon with a brush coming out of its tongue and crow quills for the spines. And I like to call it the god of comics because I wanted to do something comic related for a tattoo. The other one I had the idea of is getting something on the back of my hand, like Domon Kashu in G Fighter Gundam, the King of Hearts symbol. That would hurt like a motherfucker, but I think it would be cool just to like every once in a while just hold up my hand and just yell like, my fist is burning red, telling me to grasp a victory, and just freak out people near me. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What is this shit on your hand? But I think that would be a cool one. It's gonna have to wait till a couple of years down the road, but I might end up doing that one. There's a lot of detail, so I don't know. Let's see. Number 12. What was the last video game you played? And I'm guessing this is console or PC because I play a lot of games on my phone while I'm waiting for the train or on the train. But the last video game, the console game I played was Diablo 3. And I don't know, I was a huge fan of the first two games, and I played them on Mac, strangely. They had it available for Mac. And I liked the dungeon crawling and getting new gear and all that kind of stuff. So I was curious to see what it was like on a console. And it's a lot of fun. But you know, it's kind of limited when you beat it once, and then you have to go back and grind for all the special items and all that kind of stuff. It's fun, but it takes a lot of time, and most of my free time is taken up by drawing comics, so I don't get to play that often. So the grinding part, I've kind of missed out. I've won it once with one character type. It was the monk. I chose the monk because the kung fu stuff, I like the fact that they could come out and just punch things. But I haven't gone back to try the other classes yet. Okay, let's see. What was else? Number 11. What webcomics are you reading? This is an important question because if your friend answers that they don't read webcomics or don't know what a webcomic is, there's a whole world for them to explore. You need to like grab them by the scruff of their neck, sit them in front of a computer and say, okay, these are webcomics, fucking read these, because you need something to do when you're at work sitting behind your desk. Me personally, I don't read as many webcomics as I probably should, being in the industry. But I'll compile a list and think about this later, because you know, it could go on forever and ever, some of the comics that I've read and some of the comics that I don't read. But yeah, if you see the links on my website, those are pretty much the ones I read. Let's see. Number 10. Do you fondue? Yes. Number 9. Is CM Punk really the best in the world? I think you can make a strong argument for that. If you saw the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view, he defeated all 3 members of the Shield without cheating, which is kind of awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a strong argument that could be made. Number 8. Do you like watching movies in the theater? This is another good thing to find out from your friends, because part of hanging out is sometimes watching movies. And if they like to watch movies in the theater, that's awesome. If they like to watch movies at home where they can yell at the screen and drink a lot, that's awesome too. You got to know the preferences of your friends. I love going to the theater, even if it's a shitty movie. I like sitting in a dark theater and looking at the screen and eating popcorn and nachos and stuff. Although you probably don't want to go to a movie with me because I'm one of those assholes who yells at the screen. Not really loudly, I guess. It depends. Well, it depends on who I'm with and it depends on the theater. But I like making comments during the film. Just, if characters are being stupid, I like to point it out. So I'm probably not a good person to go to the theater with. Unless you like that sort of thing, then, come with me to see a movie. Let's see. Number 7, Godzilla versus King Kong. Who would win? So Audrey and I got into an actual heated argument about who would win between King Kong and Godzilla. And I have always maintained that Godzilla would win because he has the best range weapon, the atomic breath. And King Kong is basically kindling, like he's all furry, and that burns really well. So from a distance, if Godzilla sees King Kong coming, he just breathes fire on him. And Audrey's point was, well, King Kong has more reach, like arms that are useful. Like Godzilla has like little dino arms. King Kong's got actual arms, and he could just, if he gets in close, Godzilla has no chance because he can't punch back, he can't really kick. He got that tail movement, but that has a limited range. So if King Kong is able to get inside flame distance and punch it out with Godzilla's kind of fucked. And I see that point, but I still maintain that Godzilla can fry King Kong from a distance. So I guess if it's a level playing field and they both know they're coming at each other, Godzilla for sure. If King Kong is somehow able to get within that range, then maybe King Kong. I guess it all depends on the circumstances. But I have a bias because I love Godzilla more. So, all right, number 6. Are you sick of people asking if your life was like the Joy Luck Club? I guess this was more of an issue when the Joy Luck Club movie came out. I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s or something like that. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, Joy Luck Club was a novel written by Amy Tan about her family and her personal experiences, and it was turned into a movie, and for a while it was like the only cinematic example of what it was like to be an Asian American. And so if you were an Asian American and this movie came out, fucking everyone came up to you and asked you, oh my god, was that what your life was really like? And I'm like, I'm 12, I don't fucking know. My mom got that a lot because she grew up in San Francisco. Yeah, we did get sick of hearing about Amy Tan because her experience was not universal to the rest of Asian America. It was her experience, and it was great that she got as much acclaim as she got and that she got a movie deal out of it, and that's awesome. But her experiences are definitely different than the rest of us. Like, you can't pick one person and have that person's life represent the entirety of an ethnicity. My experience is not typical of all Asian American kids growing up, in Rockville and Bethesda. My experiences are different from everyone else's, and I think when I reflect back on the shitty list from BuzzFeed about the 21 questions that Asian people are sick of hearing, a lot of those questions deal with what are the universalities of being Asian, and I don't know if you can pinpoint people like that anymore. Like, okay, sure, if an Asian person drinks beer or any alcohol, they're gonna get the panda. That's a universal. But personal experiences vary from culture to culture, person to person, everything like that. So when people come and ask, no one asks me about Joy Luck Club now because the movie's long gone and no one gives a shit about it. But God forbid something else like that comes around and I get those questions of like, look, my experience has nothing to do with their experience. You know, we're all individual people. Maybe some stuff might be similar, but you know, it's an individual story, and you know, take it as it is. You know, you don't have to apply it to everybody. Just because they look like me, it doesn't mean they are like me. You know. So yeah, Joy Luck Club, not a big deal. Number 5. What was so bad about the live action Last Airbender movie, really? So this question sounds like a troll kind of thing. It's like, oh, because you're Asian, you should know about this thing. But I kind of look at this type of question as the opening of a door to a greater discussion about whitewashing in Hollywood and the desire for movies to appeal to what the producers and the money men think is the lowest common denominator. So you want to put a white male protagonist, even in a ethnic type film, like fucking 47 Samurai. You know, Keanu Reeves is half Asian, yes, but nobody really looks at him as an Asian person. They kind of, he's a white guy basically, and they've put him as the lead of the 47 Samurai, which has nothing to do with white people whatsoever. It's an actual legend of 47 Ronin in Japan, and they've turned this into like a weird fantasy type film. So I think the Airbender question can lead into a greater discussion about minority representation in Hollywood and in films and in stories that have been co-opted from their source material. Like if you watch the Airbender cartoon, it's pretty diverse, and to have that taken away in the live action adaptation is just so heartbreaking and disappointing, and it was terrible. Plus it's a shitty movie, so you fail twice. You fail once on the casting, and you fail twice on the actual movie making. It does not hold up as a film. It is an awful movie. Forget who's portraying who. There's no chemistry between the actors. It's not fun to watch. The CG sucks, and you think that this film is going to be an effects spectacle. The CG is awful. So yeah, fuck that movie. Number 4. Why do so many films fail the Bechdel test? So the Bechdel test is when you have two named female characters who have a conversation with each other that is not about a man. And this sounds like a very simple test for movies to pass. And it doesn't. Even when there is a strong female lead. Like Pacific Rim completely fails the Bechdel test. Mako Mori is one of two named female characters. The other one is, I think it's Sasha. She's the Russian Jaeger pilot. The two of them never have a conversation to each other, and they're barely on screen at the same time, you know, and it's very disappointing. Like now, it's not necessarily a test on the quality of a film, but it's sort of a cultural observation that even in our so-called enlightened days, where you know we're all about equality and fairness and stuff like that. Even today, it is very difficult to find a film where there are two named female characters who have a conversation with each other, not about a man. So yeah, Bechdel test. I have no idea why films fail the Bechdel test. It seems like something easy to just fix. Let's see. Number 3. Why is it okay to show extreme acts of violence on television, but completely taboo to show sex or nudity? I have no idea. The fucking news, the nightly news, is R-rated, and you get to watch that unvarnished, and you know kids get to see that because their parents are watching it, but they can't see a tit on screen. That's fucked up. I don't understand. If someone can explain it to me, why watching sex or naked people is more damaging than watching someone get their head blown off, please explain it, because for the life of me, I've never been able to figure that shit out. All right, number 2. How will you introduce your daughter to Star Wars? And this is the weird backwards way that I've chosen to announce to the YouTube community that we're having a kid in January. If you've been following me on Twitter or read my comic, you know this already, but I haven't mentioned it on my vlog yet. So here it is. Yeah, we're having a kid next January. So I don't know how regular this is going to be in the new year. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really, I'm excited. I'm nervous. Mostly excited. I'm not ready. That's another question people always ask. Are you ready? No, I'm not fucking ready. Who knows? I'm prepared, but I'm not ready. So yeah, the silly things I'm worrying about are things that are going to happen many years in the future. And by the time it comes for our daughter to actually be able to appreciate things like Star Wars, I think episodes 7, 8, and 9 are going to be out. So she's going to get Star Wars in a jumbled up fashion anyway. But if I had my, if I could introduce someone new to Star Wars, the ideal situation, and I forgot what this way is called. A friend of mine told me about it and it made sense to me. So if you know what this chronology is called, please let me know in the show notes or in the comments. But you start with episode 4 and 5. So New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. So you leave it on a cliffhanger. And then you go back to Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. Because, New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Empire leaves with a big cliffhanger, like Luke finds out that Darth is his father, and there's a big question, is Luke going to follow in the footsteps of his father? And then we see the rest of his father's story from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and we see his fall, and we see that Anakin chose the dark side. So that when you watch Jedi and you finish up with Jedi, it becomes more powerful because there's a moment where Luke, you're not sure where Luke is is he gonna ultimately fall like his father and choose the dark side, or is he going to stay strong and choose the light side? So it builds this conflict much more. It's a good way to integrate the prequels and the original trilogy. You notice no one gives a shit about Phantom Menace. Just ignore Phantom Menace. So that's the ideal chronology that I would like to see. It would be weird though, because I think the prequel films, if you've never seen a Star Wars movie before, technically they look cleaner and they look more shiny and they could look better. So I don't know how that's gonna play out. But like I said, by the time our daughter is old enough to watch this stuff, 7, 8, and 9 are already going to be out, so she might see those first. Who knows? We'll see. We'll figure it out. But it's a fun intellectual nerd question to wrestle with. And finally, the number one question that you can ask any Asian person is, what's it like being so awesome? So yeah, actually use this on your non-Asian friends too. I think anyone would appreciate being asked, why are they so awesome? So there you go. There's my list. I'll post it in the show notes. You can share it with your friends. You can ask your friends, whether they be Asian or not, some of these questions if you've run out of things to learn about your friends. Yeah. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you again next week.